Hi there, Tad Hargrave from Marketing for Hippies with a short little video and with a little screen share involved. And this video is all about 7 or 8 phrases that you can use in your business and personal conversations to take some of the pressure out. And so here, let's dive in. I'll start the screen share and we'll get to it. Okay, 7 pressure reducing phrases you can use in your business and personal conversations. The first one, no pressure. I really recommend using this liberally in conversations. Just a reminder, it's like, hey, I've got this thing, no pressure either way. That phrase is so important because here's why. Is most people in traditional sales think that the big skill we need is the skill of overcoming objections. Yeah, that people have these objections and they need to be somehow dominated. I obviously think this is incorrect. What we need instead, I believe, is the capacity to discern when there is pressure in the dynamic and to diffuse that pressure. That's the skill, diffusing pressure. Why? So we can have a human conversation. And when we say, hey, no pressure, it's letting people know we're not trying to pressure them. So use that phrase liberally. Number 2, not sure this is a fit. This approach, which the core of it I really got from Ari Galper from unlockthegame.com, is that so much traditional sales training teaches us to walk in already convinced that we can help people, already utterly persuaded that our work is going to benefit them. And we're supposed to walk in already sold. How are you going to sell them if you're not already sold? That influence is a transference of emotion. And whoever is most certain will dominate the situation. But now we're into the world of domination. And I'm just not a fan of it, generally speaking. So this statement of not sure it's a fit communicates ambivalence, that you really don't know if this is a fit. And that itself massively reduces the pressure. Because then you're clearly not there to convince them because you yourself are not convinced. So what must be the purpose of this interaction? Oh, to figure out if it's a fit. Yeah. Number 3, I got this one from Jay Abraham. I just love this. It's like, hey, I've got this thing. I don't know if it's a fit. No pressure on this, and no hard feelings if this doesn't work out. You notice how wonderful this feels right away. No hard feelings. So you're not going to be butthurt if if this doesn't work out. If I say no, because boy, women know that there are certain men, all you have to do is say no to them at a bar and they lose their mind because they're so fragile. Yeah, we've all had the experience in life of you say no and that person takes it so personally. I remember a dating coach, Carlos Zuma, and he'd work with guys and the guys would say, who were very, the kind of sensitive guys, and why am I always the friend? They say, but women say they want sensitive guys. And his response would be, yes, sensitive to them, not sensitive like I take everything personally. Yeah. So when we say, hey, no hard feelings, we're communicating an emotional security. It's like my self-worth is not hooked up on this. I'm not invested in this happening. No hard feelings either way. It's a fit or it isn't. Would you be open to exploring something like this, where we just let them know that's all that's happening? We're just exploring a possibility. Like, would you be open to exploring this? Would you be open to talking about this? Would you be open to considering this? Would you be open to making some time? Just that, would you be open to? It's not actually asking them to do it. To say, would you be open to exploring is not saying, will you explore? Yeah, it's not asking for a date to explore something. It's just, would you be open to this? Because if they're not open to the possibility, they won't be open to the reality. Now, you can see what happens when you start to combine these. I have this thing, I don't know if it's fit, but I think it might help you. I don't know. But would you be open to exploring this? No pressure, by the way, no hard feelings. I really don't know if this is a fit. You notice how you can breathe a sigh of relief. Why? Because you're giving them an exit. In all of these things, you're giving them a way out. And when people have a way out, they're more willing to stay. When people can't see an exit, they panic and they want out as fast as possible. Where do you think we should go from here? I got this from Ari Galper. This is a nice, you get to a certain point in a conversation where, okay, we've talked it through. I think all the information has been fleshed out on both sides. We know everything we're going to know, and we've asked everything we can think to ask. It's very tempting at that point to want to grab the bull by the horns and go for the close. But instead of that, what if you just looked at them and you said, okay, well, I think that's everything on my end. Anything else? No? Okay, well, where do you think we should go from here? And you put the ball in their court, and then you sit back and you just zip it and you let them decide. Oh my God, but then you're out of control of the sales process. Ding, 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 ding. You were always out of control of the sales process. You were never in control. People buy in spite of our attempts to control it, not because of it. You never were in control. You never could be in control. Why? Because they're the one who's going to buy or not. They have all the control. And this just acknowledges that. So there's a humility that's communicated here. Just, yeah, I don't know. Where do you think we should go from here? And then, of course, there's an art of how do you respond based on what they say. That's another conversation. But I tell you what, you can do a lot worse than they say. I think I just need to think about it. You know what? I think that's a great idea. This is a lot of money to invest. Do you want to circle back in a couple of days and just see where it's at and talk about it? And no pressure, by the way. It's no hard feelings at all. Because also, well, let me come back to that one. Because if I can't help you, I'm happy to help you find somebody else. This is such a killer framing and phraseology. Just letting them know, it's like, look, I'm not talking with you to get you to buy. I'm talking to see if this is a fit. And if it isn't, man, if I can't help you, maybe I know somebody. Maybe I could refer you out to somebody who'd be able to help you better. When people hear something like that, man, this diffuses so much pressure because then they know you're really there to be useful. Yeah, they know they're going to get some benefit from it probably, even if you can't help. And then the last one, I'll go back to the one I had before. How am I doing at explaining this? I got this from my friend Nigel Seal in Victoria, and he'd got it from a salesperson he worked with. And I like the shift in phrasing from, does this make sense? Which sort of puts the burden on them. Like, are you good enough at figuring this out? To just, how am I doing at explaining this? Is this making any sense? But from the standpoint of like, if you don't, it's probably because I'm doing a terrible job of explaining this. So how am I doing here at explaining this? Or something like, how does this all land for you? It's a kind of checking in question of just, is this even clear? Am I completely opaque in my articulation of this? And again, there's a humility being conveyed that takes so much of the pressure out of it. Because you know an alternative to this in traditional sales is, some of you have been to some of these workshops where, does that make sense? Yes or yes? I mean, it's funny. It's a funny joke once or twice. Third time is the charm. Drop it. Yeah. So if instead of assuming things, yeah, like, which one do you want? Do you want the red one or the blue one? Or isn't this amazing? Isn't this wonderful? Isn't this brilliant? Isn't this powerful information? I want to vomit when I do that voice. But instead saying, just how am I doing explaining this? How does this land for you? Does this make sense? Are there any questions? That sort of checking in communicates that you don't know how it's all landed. Yeah. And you just want to know so you can be as clear as possible. What's conveyed here is that you're just trying to be clear, not that you're trying to convince them or get them to buy or get them to commit that they just heard something so powerful. Because this is so much of marketing. Yeah, it's subtly trying to corner people. Where it's like, isn't that a great benefit of this? Yeah, they make a note. And you can feel them maneuvering you. If you say yes enough times, then you're trapped. And I think these questions avoid that, or that kind of checking in isn't asking them to commit to it's the most amazing thing they've ever heard, but just, is it clear? Yeah. So let me just recap all of these. So 7 phrases, pressure reducing phrases are: no pressure. Hey, I got this idea. No pressure on this at all, because I'm not really sure this is a fit. No hard feelings if you don't want to move on it, but would you be open to exploring this? And then at the end, where do you think we should go from here? And along the way, how am I doing at explaining this? How does this land for you? And then, right, and if I can't help you, I'm happy to help you find somebody else. Anyways, those are the thoughts. I hope that's helpful. If you have any other phrases that you think are helpful to convey some sort of humility and openness and ambivalence and just humanity, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear. No doubt you've come up with your own ways of diffusing pressure, yeah, along the way, so that you can both exhale and just be there with each other as human beings, trying to figure out the truth of if it's a fit or not. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Or if you know of any resources of other collections of phrases like this, I'd love to hear about them. And if you want to know more about my overall philosophy on this, go to marketingforhippies.com and you can sign up for my ethical marketing starter kit there. It's free. It's a few hours of content, and I think it's pretty good. I'm pretty proud of it. You can also find little bite-sized nugs of mine at Instagram, which is just at Marketing for Hippies. And then, of course, if you subscribe here, you'll know more about the videos. And thank you so much to everyone who shares these videos. I'm just deeply, deeply grateful. Thanks, everybody.